My name is Laura, and I'm 28. Until yesterday, I was set to marry Ethan, 29, my partner of 7 years. We'd planned our wedding in Albany, New York for over a year, dreaming of a day that would mark our future together. But I walked away from it all when Ethan's childhood best friend, Sophie, 29, sent fake screenshots to our guests, claiming I was cheating, and Ethan brushed it off as a prank. That moment shattered everything, exposing a truth I'd ignored for too long. Sophie was always a fixture in Ethan's life, a constant presence that sparked tension in our relationship. Ethan would dismiss my concerns with, "That's just Sophie," as if her behavior was beyond question. While our relationship was otherwise solid, Sophie's role was a recurring issue. Over the years, her actions built a pattern that, looking back, screams red flags. 3 years ago, I was preparing for a critical work pitch. Ethan promised to help me rehearse, but Sophie called, frantic about a crisis, a flickering light bulb in her apartment. Ethan dropped everything to help, leaving me to prep alone. The emergency was something her landlord could have fixed in minutes. Another time, on our 6th anniversary, we booked a quiet dinner at a lakeside restaurant. Sophie showed up uninvited, claiming Ethan had mentioned our plans and she was in the area. Our romantic evening turned into a nostalgia fest about their high school days, with me feeling like an outsider. Ethan saw no issue, saying, "Sophie's just being friendly." Her comments were another thorn. She'd casually praise Ethan's exes in my presence or tease about his wild pre-Laura days, winking like they shared a secret. When I raised this with Ethan, he'd say I was overreacting, that Sophie meant no harm. He never addressed her behavior directly, leaving me feeling dismissed. Wedding planning amplified the strain. Sophie had opinions on everything: the venue, the menu, even my dress. Ethan often sided with her or urged me to compromise to keep the peace. She inserted herself into tasks meant for my bridesmaids, like tagging along to Ethan's suit fitting and nixing his first choice. I felt like I was sharing my wedding with her. Yesterday, everything's unraveled. I was in the bridal suite with my sister Jenna and my mom, getting ready. An hour before the ceremony, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It contained screenshots of a supposed chat where I confessed to an ongoing affair and doubted marrying Ethan. The message read, "You deserve to know who she really is. The guests are talking." My heart sank. Jenna saw my face and grabbed my phone, gasping at the images. Minutes later, my friend Claire rushed in, saying her cousin, a guest, had texted her. "Is the wedding off?" Someone named Sophie sent a group chat to tons of guests with screenshots claiming Laura's cheating. It was clear Sophie had orchestrated a public smear campaign. My mom and Jenna urged me to find Ethan. I sent my brother Mike to bring him to a private room off the main hall. I didn't want anyone else there. When Ethan arrived, he looked confused, probably pulled from greeting guests. I showed him the screenshots and explained Sophie's actions. He let out a nervous chuckle. "Come on, Laura. You know Sophie. She's got a weird sense of humor. It's probably just a dumb joke. She wouldn't tank our wedding." I stared, waiting for more. I asked if he thought this was funny, what he planned to do about Sophie, about the guests now whispering about my fidelity. He ran a hand through his hair. "Look, we're minutes from the ceremony. Let's not make a scene. We'll deal with it later. That's just Sophie being Sophie. Don't let her ruin our day." His calmness, his refusal to confront Sophie or address the guests, his expectation that I'd walk down the aisle despite this betrayal, it broke something in me. I told him if he could dismiss something so vicious as a joke, I couldn't marry him. His failure to stand up for me, for us, spoke volumes. He argued, pleaded, said I was blowing it out of proportion, that we were about to say our vows. I didn't engage further. I turned, walked out, past my stunned family and bridesmaids, and told Mike I was leaving. He tried to ask what happened, but I shook my head and kept going. I slipped out a side door, hailed a taxi, and left. The ride was a blur. My phone exploded with calls. Ethan, my parents, my siblings. I didn't answer. I checked into a nearby hotel, locked the door, and sat in silence. Notifications piled up. Missed calls from Ethan, my family, even Ethan's parents. Texts from friends described chaos at the venue. Ethan was reportedly frantic, torn between searching for me and managing guests. Sophie, per Jenna, was spinning a tale that I'd bailed for no reason, painting me as unstable and her as innocent. My parents demanded answers from Ethan, who seemed crushed but evasive. 10 hours later, I called my parents briefly to confirm I was safe but not ready to talk. Ethan's calls and texts kept coming, a mix of confusion. Where are you? What's going on? Accusations. How could you do this to us? And please come back, we can fix this. I'm in my hotel room now, grappling with the collapse of what was supposed to be my wedding day. My family's in shock, waiting for answers. Some friends are confused, others swayed by Sophie's narrative that I'm the villain who ruined everything. Ethan's refusal to defend me, his minimization of Sophie's cruelty, feels like a deeper betrayal than her actions, which only confirmed her long-standing hostility. I walked away because he expected me to swallow a public lie and marry him anyway. Thank you to everyone who's reached out with support. Your messages have brought clarity to this mess. Many asked for details, so I'll address some common questions. Sophie's sabotage wasn't a small act. She created a group chat with dozens of guests, friends, family, co-workers, and sent the fake screenshots there, then followed up with private messages to others. Her goal was maximum humiliation, timed to disrupt the ceremony. Ethan's response wasn't a casual misstep. He explicitly asked me not to make a scene, said I was overreacting, and insisted we proceed with the vows, promising to handle it later. His priority was appearances, not my dignity or the lie tainting my name. He showed no anger towards Sophie, only a desire to placate me enough to get through the day. Some asked why I didn't confront Sophie directly. In that moment, Ethan's reaction was all that mattered. He was my partner, the one I was about to marry. His failure to stand by me outweighed Sophie's malice. Dealing with her would have been secondary to his betrayal. The overwhelming sentiment in your feedback validated my sense that Ethan's response wasn't just inadequate, it was a profound breach of trust. Sophie's actions were vile, but Ethan's choice to prioritize her joke or avoid conflict over my pain was the breaking point, the culmination of years of him dismissing my concerns about her. The day after the wedding, I turned off my phone to escape Ethan's relentless calls. I called my parents and arranged to stay with them. Mike picked me up from the hotel. Before leaving, I blocked Sophie's number and social media. I haven't contacted Ethan, though his calls and texts, along with his mom's, keep coming. My dad fielded calls from Ethan's father, who seemed more concerned about the embarrassment than the truth. At my parents' house, I sat down with them, Mike and my sister, Emily, and laid out everything: Sophie's messages, Ethan's response, and the history of her oversteps. My parents had heard rumors at the venue but didn't believe them. Dad was furious, especially at Ethan, saying his only job was to protect me. He wanted to call Ethan, but I asked him to wait. Mom admitted she'd always been uneasy about Sophie, recalling times she'd noticed Sophie subtly undermining me or monopolizing Ethan's attention. She'd stayed quiet to avoid meddling, but regretted it now. Ethan's mom, Diane, left voicemails demanding I fix this mess and complaining about the wasted money and shame. My mom took one call, firmly stating I was the wronged party and ending the conversation. Later, I turned on my phone briefly and got a call from Ethan. With Dad in the room, I put it on speaker. Ethan sounded desperate, asking where I was, why I'd left. He claimed Sophie was devastated, and I'd misunderstood her intentions, that it was a big mix-up. I told him his dismissal of my pain and defense of Sophie were the issue, not just her actions. I hung up and ignored his follow-up calls. Some wedding guests reached out, many horrified by Sophie's actions and Ethan's response. Others, influenced by Sophie's story that I'm erratic, were cautious. Sophie's been active online, portraying herself as a confused friend and me as a drama queen. Close friends who knew Sophie through us admitted they'd seen her possessiveness toward Ethan for years. Her snide remarks, her demands on his time, but hadn't spoken up, not wanting to stir trouble. Their confessions hurt but validated my instincts. The venue confirmed most payments are non-refunded. The financial hit stings, but it's not my focus now. I'm prioritizing distance and reflection. It's been 3 weeks since the wedding that wasn't, and 2 since my last update. The initial chaos has settled, but the pain lingers. Thank you for your continued support and perspectives. Many asked why Ethan's reaction was the final straw, so I'll dive deeper. My decision to leave wasn't just about Sophie's stunt. It was Ethan's response, the peak of a 7-year pattern where my feelings, especially about Sophie, were sidelined. Small betrayals piled up. Ethan shared private details of our fights, my insecurities, and our plans with Sophie, which I discovered when she referenced things I'd told him in confidence. He brushed it off, saying she was his best friend and he shared everything with her. Twice, Sophie coincidentally booked trips near our anniversary getaways, turning couples retreats into group outings because Ethan insisted it'd be rude to exclude her. On my birthdays, he'd prioritize Sophie's inclusion over my wishes, like inviting her to a private dinner I'd explicitly wanted to keep intimate, claiming she'd be hurt otherwise. These moments made me feel like a sidekick in Ethan's lifelong bond with Sophie, not his partner. His reaction on the wedding day, dismissing a public lie as a prank, urging me to ignore it, was the loudest echo of that dynamic. It showed he'd always choose Sophie's comfort, or avoiding conflict with her, over my well-being. Mike and Emily have been my rocks, furious on my behalf. They've reached out to friends and relatives, sharing the truth about Sophie's screenshots, forwarded to me by guests, and Ethan's response. This cleared up some confusion. A few guests who'd bought Sophie's story apologized, including an aunt who'd scolded my mom. But Ethan's family and some friends stick by him and Sophie, believing I overreacted. Ethan's calls continued daily for the first week, then tapered to long, rambling emails, apologies mixed with excuses. I was caught off guard, blame shifting. Sophie messed up, I'm furious at her, and pleased to talk. 10 days ago, he showed up at my parents' house unannounced. Dad met him at the door, firmly telling him I wasn't ready to see him and to respect my space. Ethan argued, begging to speak to me, but Dad held his ground. Ethan also tried contacting Mike and Emily to mediate, but they refused, backing my need for distance. The wedding cost about $35,000, split between our families and savings. Most deposits are lost due to cancellation policies. My parents, bless them, offered to cover their share and help with my losses. I've decided not to pursue reimbursement from Ethan or his family. It's too draining. I'm selling my wedding dress through a consignment shop, expecting minimal return. The engagement ring is with me. I'll likely have Mike return it to Ethan's family soon. Emotionally, I'm reeling. Friends in your comments suggested therapy, and I've booked a session with a counselor specializing in relationship trauma next week. Processing this betrayal and the years leading up to it feels daunting but necessary. It's been over 2 months since my last update, about 2.5 since I walked away from my wedding. A lot has unfolded, and I feel this is the right time for a final update, given the support you've shown. Thank you for following my journey. I moved out of my parents' house to stay with my friend Rachel, who offered her spare room. Staying in my childhood home, surrounded by memories and where Ethan could easily find me, was too heavy. Rachel's place is a neutral haven, giving me space to breathe and heal. Despite my clear request for no contact, Ethan persisted. 3 weeks ago, he got Rachel's number through a mutual friend, whom I've since cut off for ignoring my boundaries. He called, and Rachel hesitantly passed me the phone. Ethan's tone was different, less frantic, more reflective. He said he'd had a wake-up call about Sophie's manipulation and, more importantly, his own failures. He claimed he confronted Sophie, calling out her toxic behavior and its impact on us, and cut her off completely. As proof, he sent Rachel a screenshot, since I'd blocked him, of Sophie's blocked contact and a heated text exchange where he told her their friendship was over. He begged to meet, to show he was changing, to explore if we could rebuild. I listened, barely speaking. When he finished, I said I appreciated his realization, but it didn't erase the past. His words on the wedding day, his actions over 7 years, the constant dismissal of my feelings. I told him trust was gone and I couldn't see a future together. I declined to meet and ended the call. After talking with Rachel and my therapist, whom I started seeing shortly after my last update, I sent Ethan a formal letter, copied to my dad for records. I reiterated that our relationship was over, that his continued contact was distressing, and that further attempts would be documented as harassment. I asked him to stop reaching out to me, my family, or close friends. A few days later, Ethan's aunt, Diane's sister, called my mom, pleading his case. She said he was heartbroken, remorseful, and deserved forgiveness, especially since he'd ditched Sophie. Mom listened briefly, then said it was between me and Ethan, and my decision was final. She handed me the phone as I was visiting. I told the aunt politely but firmly that my choice was made, and I wasn't open to further discussion with Ethan's family. I ended the call. The financial fallout is settling. My parents and I absorbed most losses, and I've let go of recovering anything from Ethan's side. Mike will return the engagement ring to Ethan's family next week, closing that chapter. Therapy has been tough but grounding, helping me unpack the betrayal and years of feeling sidelined. Living with Rachel feels stable, a calm base to rebuild from. I don't know what's next, but I know it won't include Ethan. Sophie's actions were cruel, but Ethan's failure to choose me was the real wound. Walking away was my first step toward reclaiming my worth, and I'm committed to that path. If you found this story moving, please subscribe to my channel for more tales of strength, self-discovery, and breaking free. Your support means everything.